Our group is Group 8, and we did our case study on Case 8 about the biomedical engineer. In our presentation, we will first give a quick overview of the case study we were given, then we'll go into some of the ethical issues and give our arguments and objections, and lastly, we will have a conclusion. In our case study, a CEO of a company asked a biomedical engineer to present research data at a meeting. The results presented showed a 40% improvement to an old product in the company. The engineer shared that they started a clinical study to validate these results from their research, and the study would take about 7 months. The vice president of marketing pointed out that he previously published a paper on the old product with a performance statistic of 130% over internal results. So new results would have to work out to at least a 190% improvement, or they won't be able to sell more products or more stock for their company. Every few weeks during the clinical study, the vice president would send the engineer emails asking if the results could be available any sooner. The engineer was scared to speak up to the board of directors because they would most likely not take her side since they liked the CEO a lot.
Then this slide is just a graphic overview of the case study that we have.
Some of the central ethical issues in our case were that the vice president of marketing kept asking if the clinical validation could be sped up so they could get the results sooner. And if the engineer were to speed up the clinical validation, the results would not be as accurate or even be accurate at all. And the vice president was trying to influence the engineer to forge data and get the validation done as soon as possible. The CEO acted as if fraudulent data was fine and acceptable so that they could go public with the information. And the board of directors favored the CEO and would most likely side with him on any ethical issues that were presented to them.
The professional ethical code that concerns this situation would be the Biomedical Engineering Society Code of Ethics, Standards for Research and Technology Development 2.1.1, conduct research and development honestly and thoroughly in service of advancing the public health. The marketing team did not want to conduct this research honestly and wanted to lie or put results out that weren't true, but the biomedical engineer had to be honest about this. Other ones would be 2.21, which is to commit to honest presentation, use, collection, analysis, and computer code development for processing biomedical data. She did stick to this when she originally presented her results, but the VP of marketing wanted to put 190% increase into an article when this is impossible, so this is also a conflict with the code. That would not be honest. The last one that we want to go over is 5.21, which is the standard for professionalism and culture, is to communicate to the media and public with scrupulous honesty, i.e. clearly express warranted levels of confidence in conclusion and put expected efficiency in context to avoid misleading the public, i.e. giving false hope for treatment, generating confusion about the scientific enterprise, or undermining the public trust in biomedical engineer. If she were to put these fake results out, she would not be honest, and she would be misleading the public with this new product.
So the ethical theory that we've chosen is deontological ethical theory. And so the ethical premises for this is that in order to be considered ethical, one must use rules to distinguish right from wrong, and one must also follow the rules and have a correct process for the situation. In this scenario, the engineer here presented their data to the CEO at an executive meeting to show how much improvement a product's performance had become in 1 year. In the meeting, however, the vice president of the marketing side said that they had published an article on the same product that consisted of 130% improvement and would need to see 190% improvement. This was not possible because the engineer could not change their clinical product they had to follow. So according to the deontological ethical theory, the engineer is ethical by not conforming to the marketing vice president's decision of wanting to speed up the clinical validation and try to get results that would not be possible. The engineer stuck with the clinical validation and with the rules to get the results that they needed instead of falsifying the results just so that the marketing VP would stop bothering the engineer and trying to get results that would fit their agenda.
The first potential objection is using deontological ethics, where according to deontological ethics, the VP of marketing did not do anything unethical. He never specifically asked a researcher to fake his data and show a 190% increase. He did repeatedly send him emails asking about the validation process, but maybe that was just to speed up the process and not needing him to fake data. It might have been a simple case of misunderstanding on the researcher's part, which led him to quitting his job. The second potential objection is using the Professional Ethics Code by BMES. According to the BMES Code of Ethics, the VP of Marketing and the CEO were ethical in trying to get the trial done as fast as possible. In section 2.2.2 of the BMES Code of Ethics, it reads, strive to make biomedical data and methodology publicly accessible following project completion or proprietary development. They're just trying to make this studies accessible to the public as soon as possible so the public can see how much the product has improved.
To conclude, the VP of Marketing was pressuring the biomedical engineer to get the study done faster than it should be, which would produce incorrect data. The CEO did not see anything wrong with speeding up the study, and the board of directors who decide on ethical issues favor the CEO over the engineer. The BMES Code of Ethics clearly states to present results found in studies clearly, accurately, and honestly. Under deontological ethics, the engineer was found to be ethical because they followed the rules in place and did not give in to the VP's request to speed up the study.
These are our contributions. And lastly, these are our references that we used.